Carolyn with Two Awesome Women, and today we're talking about a book. So we both read Every Day by David Levithan. I hope I said his name right. Whitley already did a great spoiler-free synopsis. If you haven't seen that video, click here and go watch it first. I bought the book for my Kindle after Whitley recommended it. I don't normally read a lot of young adult fiction that doesn't have dragons or robots or something along those lines in it, but I do read a lot, and I'll read almost anything that isn't horror. So I picked this book up with the intention of having a book we could talk about together, and I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it. It does have the element of fantasy with the main character switching bodies and all, so that may be one reason. I stayed up till 2 a.m. and finished it in one sitting. And now I want to talk about it. There's a lot to chew on here. First, there's the gender issue to grapple with. The book is written from the first-person perspective. I is a non-gender specific pronoun, so it's easy to think of this entity as genderless, but the main gist of the plot is a heterosexual romance with the main character mostly playing the male role. And we learn along the way about a homosexual romance that the character had as a male also, so it's much easier to think of this entity as primarily male. I'm not sure I love that about the story, but there is no reason it shouldn't be like that, and calling A him and he seems more right than she and her. And I'm going to talk a lot about him, so I need a gender reference for the sake of clear communication. I know that gender isn't really binary, but our language treats it that way. By the way, none of this is spoilery, and the stuff I want to talk about doesn't directly relate to the arc of the story, so it shouldn't hurt your enjoyment at all. So, he doesn't think of himself as male, and he doesn't approach the world from that perspective. This has always happened to him, this thing about waking up in a new body every day, and it has always been the body of somebody his own age. This strikes me as a little strange. I mean, it is the only way it would work. An infant waking in an adult body would not work, but the day of your birth seems very arbitrary. Would he know when his birthday was because he suddenly started waking up in the bodies of people a year older than the day before? And then there's the whole thing about his upbringing. It brings the question of nature versus nurture to mind very quickly. Why are we the way we are? I mean, I know I'm a lot the way I am because I inherited some intellectual traits from my parents, but I also learned a lot from my dad and take after him in some ways by choice. This person that calls himself A has myriad examples, unlimited perspectives to choose from for learning and emulation. He can read the mind of the person he is inhabiting and see what they are like, and he experiences 365 sets of parents every year. Why is he the way he is? I never really got a satisfactory answer to that. He doesn't have a religious bent. He can't be influenced by money and things because money and things don't go with him from day to day. He understands people a lot better than your average teenager because he's been inside the noggin of so many of them. And he chooses to be a decent and kind and all-around good guy. But it's hard to understand what makes him him or why. It's a fascinating thing to think about. And then there's the nature of love, or infatuation. Whitley, you called it infatuation, and I think that's a great word for it. In one day, A looks through the memories of this girl's boyfriend, and he thinks he knows everything he needs to know about her. He feels like he's in love with her because he can see the whole of what she's been like to this guy who doesn't treat her well. We all know that feeling, that romantic attachment, that sentimental caring about somebody that you probably don't really know nearly as well as you think you do. And I'm not talking about the hormonally driven lust kind of infatuation, though often the two are entwined. They can't be so entwined for A because A is infatuated with this girl apart from his biology. He is not in love with her body. He would love her if she were male. It's not her gender. It's her. And why? What is this thing? Why do we do it? What does it mean? And that's what I love about this book. There's a lot to chew on here, and I'll be thinking over the ideas it has to offer for a very long time. Thanks for watching.